There we go. We are ready to go. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to our Tuesday webinar with Dana. We're so excited to have you guys here. It's a all girls today. Joe is not at the office, but you get me, Leslie, you get Cheryl, and you get Dana. And we are here today to talk about low carb summer. What does that mean to you when you think about eating low carb during the summer? What does that mean? Does that bring you magical thoughts of wonderful warm weather, or is that a difficult thing for you? And that's what we want to talk about. Is it hard to eat low carb during the summer? How do you go to maybe summer barbecues and eat low carb? What are your favorite summer foods? We want to hear from you guys. Let us know all of your thoughts, all of your ideas. We've been learning a lot, not only from these two lovely ladies, but also those of you who are commenting. We have a lot of really smart people on our webinars. We have a lot of people who have spent a lot of time figuring out what recipes work for them. Some of these people have graduated from the Diabetes Solution Kit and they have implemented these things into their daily lifestyle. So we love to learn from them as well. So feel free to send us messages in the chat. If you're on Facebook, welcome. Feel free to comment. We want to hear from you. And I will post a link so that you can register for these webinars as well. They are on Zoom, but we're going to be putting them on YouTube. You can find more information about that on bartonwebinar.com. I'm not sure how we got that here. Let's see. There we go. Okay. So why don't we go ahead and get started? Did we have, let's see. Yes, feel free to use your chat feature, guys, if you have questions or thoughts. Again, we want to hear from you, or you can use Q&A. So say hello when you guys hop on, and we're going to go ahead and get started. I'm going to let Dana just kind of get us started with some thoughts or ideas about low carb summer. So take it away, Dana.
Awesome. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. Low carb summer. Sometimes it is easier to be low carb in the summer because we're not making all the warm, like comfort foods, the pastas and the starchy vegetables. But then there's also a lot of fruit in the summer and barbecue sauce. So how do we navigate around keeping our carbs low while still enjoying some fruit and going to those barbecues? I'll start with barbecue sauce. That is like condiments, barbecue sauce or ketchup. Those things are a huge part of my summer. I love dipping things in sauce, but being mindful of the amount of sugar that we're getting in our condiments is just, it's going to be crucial to maintaining your blood sugars, especially if you're in like the phase 1 of your Barton protocol. I have a barbecue sauce here with me today, actually. This is a family favorite, Old West barbecue sauce. And you know, whether it's Old West or Sweet Baby Ray's, peek at the nutrition label. So this is a tablespoon. So 2 tablespoons of this Old West barbecue sauce is going to give you 3 teaspoons of sugar. That's 3 sugar cubes. 1, 2, 3.
Wow.
12 grams of sugar just in 2 tablespoons.
And who just eats 2 tablespoons?
Right? I mean, that's like 1 dip.
Yeah.
So our sugar can really add up with any type of barbecue sauce, unless you go for a sugar-free option. You can make your own, and there are brands out there that do not have artificial sweeteners in them, which that's always going to be the best choice, is to make your own without artificial sweeteners, or like Primal Kitchen is a really good brand, but they can be cost prohibitive. So a brand that your local grocery store, Walmart, Target will carry will be the G. Hughes sugar-free barbecue sauce. And there is not any sugar in here. The trade-off is that there's sucralose or Splenda, but for the small amount that you're going to be using, and it's just every once in a while, I feel like this is a better option rather than the minimum 12 grams of sugar that you're going to get from this type of barbecue sauce. And it comes in a really a lot of different flavors. This is the original, but there's a honey barbecue, a mesquite. So you really can still enjoy barbecued food this summer without the sugar.
So
Same
how does
thing
that
for
taste,
ketchup.
Dana?
What's that?
How does it taste?
You know, my family can tell the difference,
Yeah.
but for me, when I know I'm getting less sugar from this, it's like, oh, you know what? That actually works.
Yep.
So it's a mindset shift, not expecting your sugar-laden barbecue sauce, which sure, it's good, but just allowing yourself to experience a little bit of a different taste, and being prepared that it's not going to be Sweet Baby Ray's.
Yeah.
But it really does the trick for me. I'll even do drizzle a little bit of this barbecue sauce on some leftover grilled chicken with mozzarella and onion. And it's like a flatbread barbecue chicken in a bowl, minus the bread. So it really can work if you let your head let it work.
So you had mentioned that a couple of weeks ago. So I went to Walmart and I bought the hickory flavor for my husband because he loves barbecue sauce. He puts it on everything. And his reaction was, it's okay. Not Sweet Baby Ray's. And so that's what he was comparing it to. So we went to Walmart and got the original this weekend to see if he likes it. But we haven't had it since we bought it. But I think, but you have talked about you want something better than.
Yes.
And so he's learning as well that this is going to be better for him than Sweet Baby Ray's. And he knows when he does too much sugar, things happen in his body that isn't like. So he's going through this transition of adapting his taste buds, really, is what it's about.
Yes. And I love that you brought that up again. Always aiming for a better than the full sugar. And, you know, what if you couldn't do this straight up right away? If you're like, oh, just can't do it. How about 1 tablespoon of this and a tablespoon of this and mix it together? That's what I do for my family. Don't tell them that that's what I put on their barbecue chicken pizzas. I'll just do half and half, and then they still can see the yummy little, I don't know what the ingredient is, that there's little specks of something in here that they just love. But I'm taking away 6 grams of sugar by going half and half. It's not perfect, but it's better than doing a full strength 2 tablespoons of barbecue sauce.
What are we looking at for carbs in the 2 barbecue sauces?
Okay, so carbs in 2 tablespoons of the original or Baby Ray's will be about 13. So and then 12 grams of sugar. So almost all sugar carbs. Wow. And then I don't believe, there's 2. So either 13 or 2 carbs.
Wow.
It's a pretty good savings. And especially when you consider 2 tablespoons, I can guarantee you that like Cheryl said, I eat more than 2 tablespoons at a serving. Yep. Awesome. And kind of the same thing with ketchup. Primal Kitchen, again, will have a nice low sugar one. Heinz, I have not tried the sugar-free ketchup with sucralose in it. Have you tried that?
Mm-mm.
Yeah, for the little bit of ketchup that I use, I'll either use, Costco has one right now, it's called Hunt's rather than Heinz. And there's 3 grams of sugar. So, you know, about 3/4 of a teaspoon of sugar in the Hunt's per tablespoon. The regular Heinz, I think, is a teaspoon of sugar per tablespoon. But when you think about that, if you put that sugar cube in the tablespoon, it's like, that's just a lot of sugar. 1/3 of it is sugar because there's 3 teaspoons in 1 tablespoon, and you get 1 teaspoon of sugar in a tablespoon of normal ketchup. So just being mindful of the sugar and the condiments, that they can really add up.
Can you talk to us a little bit more about people know sugar's not good for them, but what actually is happening to the body when you're getting too much sugar? You know, we focus a lot on carbs, specifically in phase 1. We do talk about sugar, but I think there are some hidden dangers in sugar that we sometimes forget about.
Sure. When we eat too much sugar, it is a warning system. Our body does not want to have more than 4 grams of sugar at a time in our bloodstream. This is a safe zone for our body. So our body is going to do everything that it can. If we get too much sugar, like let's say our muscles are full of sugar, our brain has had the sugar it needs, our organs have had all the sugar that they can take, it's going to stuff it into places that we don't want. It's going to store it in the liver, which we need a little bit of sugar stored in our liver for later. It's called glycogen. But let's say our liver stores are full. Kind of like when you go on a trip and you're trying to pack your suitcase and you're like, I can just get one more pair of shoes in my suitcase, and we're like jamming it in there, but then we can't get it shut and the suitcase now is overflowing. Same thing happens with your liver and sugar. Your liver's like, I don't have any more storage for this sugar, so I'm going to spill it over into other places in your body that will have unlimited capacity to store sugar. And unfortunately, that is our fat cells. So it's not the fat that we're eating. If we're eating too much sugar, it's going to get stored in our fat cells. So increased body weight. So obesity is one problem with too much sugar. When we have too much sugar, it can actually, the amount of insulin that is needed to put the sugar in our cells can stop listening. They kind of put earmuffs on to that insulin signal saying, let me in. But then our cells don't listen anymore because we've had too much sugar. If you walk into a loud room where it's really noisy, but after 15 minutes or so, you can hear and it doesn't seem as noisy. That's kind of how your cells start responding when we've been asking insulin to, come on, insulin, I have more sugar for you, more sugar. The cells just kind of stop listening to insulin knocking on that door saying, I have sugar to put in here. And when that elevated sugar is out in our bloodstream or in our brain, that can lead to insulin resistance in the brain or memory problems, Alzheimer's, dementia. That's too much sugar. Too much sugar can lead to heart disease. It's the lining of our vessels are hurt by the amount of sugar that we eat. Almost all chronic diseases are caused by too much sugar. High blood pressure. Do you have high blood pressure? When you're eating too much sugar or things that turn to sugar, whether it's sweet potatoes or rice or whole grain bread, when we swallow bread or potatoes, rice, when we swallow it, it turns to sugar. And then our body, for every 1 gram of sugar that we eat, 3 grams of water attaches. And so maybe after you have pasta or pizza, you feel bloated because of all of that water that's attached to those carbohydrates. Well, guess what? Your heart has to work really, really hard to squeeze the blood to all of our vital organs and all the way down to your toes. But when we eat less sugar or lower carbohydrates, here's that carbohydrate and 3 grams of water, it leaves our body. We have less fluid volume. So then our heart's like, oh, not so much fluid to pump around. And then our blood pressure goes down. And guess what? You get off of your blood pressure medicine is what happens quite frequently. So yeah, those are some of the main problems that happen with too much sugar. Obesity, high blood pressure, Alzheimer's, of course, diabetes. It's chronic disease can pretty much all be pinned back to our sugar consumption.
So good. I like the visual of that. It kind of makes you not want to eat anything that is not good for you. When you really understand what's happening to your body, I mean, with that education, I just feel like it's so much easier to make healthier choices. So,
right. Oh, one thing I forgot to, we talked about the brain becoming insulin resistant or Alzheimer's. Sugar can also trigger anxiety and depression because our gut bugs, what we're putting into our stomach, that's information. All food is information. information. It's either turning genes on or off. Inflammation on, inflammation off. And when we have too much sugar in our gut, we have a nerve that communicates all the way up to our brain. It's called the vagus nerve. And those signals can get all mumble jumbled. And when the signals aren't right, that can lead to depression and anxiety.
It's been really interesting for me lately too. I've noticed, I feel like I mentioned this on every webinar, but I have a knee injury. And when I do not eat well, or if I eat inflammatory foods, my knee flares up. And to see how that physically changes the healing in my body is like, imagine all of the things that have happened to my body over the course of, my life, the foods I've been eating, and I didn't even notice.
Right.
So, and now I get the reminder every single time. But oh man, I've just really noticed how important food is over the past few months.
Yeah, I really feel like some people just think, oh, I feel fine, I don't need to change my diet, but they don't know what it's like to feel really well. Or if you could just try it for even 1 week without sugar, just see how you feel. And you're going to be amazed. And, Leslie, with your knee, our knees have these cells that have a specific love of sugar, and the inflammation just goes off like crazy called chondrocytes. And boy, when we reduce that sugar, I've worked with several people that have reported significantly less joint pain, not just in the knees, but, if you have it in your shoulders or
their fingers, people have arthritis in their fingers.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yep.
Awesome. This is good. Okay. You mentioned something about ketchup. I think we need to go to ketchup.
Ketchup. Yep. Just that the ketchup was 4 grams of sugar about in 1 tablespoon. So that's a teaspoon of sugar per tablespoon. Okay. So if there's 3 teaspoons of sugar or 3 teaspoons in 1 tablespoon, that means 1/3 of that tablespoon. It's just pure sugar.
Yeah.
So just being mindful of that portion size.
Yes, that's good. Okay. How do you feel about mayo? We've talked about this, but I feel like mayo is kind of another staple.
Yeah. Yes.
Let's talk about that real quickly as well.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like a lot of people will maybe make that in their dips for, summer veggies, do a fresh veggie tray or something. Any mayo that you buy is typically going to have canola oil or soybean oil as the first ingredient. And those are 2 of the 6 very inflammatory oils that we want to try and stay away from. So my favorite, if you have a Clubhouse membership, I think Sam's has something. I know Costco has the Sir Kensington's mayo for a reasonable price. But your local grocery store, Target, Walmart should also have an avocado oil-based mayonnaise. And just make sure when you turn that label over, because it could say made with olive oil. And I've even been fooled. I'm like, oh my goodness, good job. I think it was Kraft. But the first ingredient was still soybean oil. And then olive oil was way down at the bottom. So people will often say, well, I'm eating such a little bit. Does it really matter? Well, unfortunately, those oils, the inflammatory seed oils, make up so much of our diet that our toxic buckets just become full. They become overfull. If we were just eating mayo every once in a while, with the canola or soybean oil, it probably wouldn't be that bad. But 70% of our packaged and processed foods have those oils in them, and they make up a significant portion of our calories.
So I've read that in other countries, they don't allow as many things as we do in our food.
Right.
Which is a little bit concerning, I would say.
It's frustrating. We need to definitely be more aware. I believe Heinz, we still have the high fructose corn syrup in our Heinz ketchup. In Europe, they do not allow that. I was hearing something about macaroni and cheese too, like they're, mac and cheese isn't the best option, of course, but people eat it, but their ingredient list is so much better in Europe than ours. So why is our government allowing this is a good question.
Sad.
Yes.
Okay. When I think of summertime, obviously we're thinking of barbecues. We covered the barbecue sauce with the ketchup, the mayo. Let's talk about some of these meats. Let's talk about hot dogs, burgers,
Good.
steaks, chicken, those types of things. Are they all good for us? Is meat in general, are those good options for us?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I like any type of meat. My favorite, beef and chicken. Hot dogs, can you get an all beef hot dog? That would be my preference. It's still going to be processed and not as nice of a choice, but they do work. It can be a nice cost effective option. It just all depends on what your tolerance is for how processed you want your food to be. Yesterday at Costco, I purchased, have you seen the beef sticks, like they're Green Ridge Farm beef sticks? Mm-hmm. Okay, so 100% grass-fed beef. And I saw somebody put them in the air fryer the other day. I thought, well, why can't you just put those on the grill? Because then you're having a 100% grass-fed beef for a reasonable price, like hot dog or beef stick. So, yeah.
Wow.
That's a fascinating idea. So you're talking about taking like a beef jerky stick and putting that on the grill, but that's 100% beef. Wow.
That's what I want to try. It's the ones from Costco, and they're like 16 grams of protein and 16 grams of fat. So the perfect ratio, like it's a 1-to-1, 16 fat, 16 protein. And I'm thinking it would grill up pretty nice. So I'm going to give it a try. I'll have to report back on that.
I was just going to say, you'll have to let us know how that goes.
Yes. What do you guys like for meat? What do you like to grill?
We actually did steaks yesterday. I think I in true me fashion, I go through phases of what I actually like. But right now I do actually pretty much prefer beef, but I also have a son who has really gotten into hunting. And so we have a freezer stocked with venison. And so that is also a change for me, something I know that it's a healthy option, but I also have to kind of slowly try some new things. Mm-hmm. I know I can feel the importance in my body when I eat good proteins immediately. I know that I feel good with it. And so I mentally have to make myself try to eat more. I even said to Cheryl, I was working with Cheryl a little bit yesterday. I'm like, okay, I gotta go. I'm waiting for Tyler to grill some steaks. I need more protein,
Yes.
And the nice part I think about with steak for us is that we usually grill quite a bit at one time so that we have a lot of leftovers. Like there's some today, some of it's already cut so that it's real quick. Throw it on a salad. Huge fan of balsamic vinegar. Mentioned that before, but putting that over steak on a salad, yum. I can do that for many meals.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Great idea. Sometimes I'll even undercook, or I will have my husband undercook the steak. I don't grill yet. Yeah. I'm working on that.
It's hard for me to grill too. I'm not sure why. It's a mental thing.
Do you grill, Cheryl?
No, I leave that to my husband. Yeah. But my reason is it's one less thing I've got to do. So he likes it. So
yes. I haven't learned how to use the weed whacker or the grill. Those are two things that I'm keeping hands off. Yeah. But when you undercook your steak just a little bit, then when you go to, if you want to reheat it, I mean, it's good cold, I think. Yes. But let's say you're going to do steak and eggs in the morning, then you can still have it just a little bit pink if that's how you like it.
I have to say, one of my favorite things, we do beef and venison as well, and chicken on the grill, but I love grilled vegetables. There's something about throwing some olive oil on them with some garlic powder, a little bit of Himalayan salt. I consume those just stuff them in my face. Those are so good with some mushrooms, whatever vegetables you have, broccoli. that makes me feel like it's a very healthy meal with whatever meat I choose, and then low carb veggies. It's just a win-win.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Peppers, onions, asparagus, all the veggies. And when we eat them with a steak or just a little bit fattier cut of meat, or like you say, you're drizzling olive oil, it actually increases our absorption of the vitamins in the veggies when we have just a smidge of fat with them. So perfect way to do it. And it adds volume to the meal too, without the meat and potato mentality. You get meat with a lot of veggies.
I also feel like, because I'm in South Dakota and Dana is as well, summertime is kind of a free pass for having to make really extravagant meals sometimes, because I feel like you can invite people over and you can just put stuff on the grill. You know, it doesn't have to be something fancy that you created. Yes, you can do all the salads and all of that kind of thing, but it's so much less meal prepping, I feel like, for me, where it's like, we'll go to Costco now and it's, okay, get some veggies and get some meats and voila, meal prepped for the week, you know?
Yes.
It feels so much better and so much easier. So yes.
Absolutely.
I want to ask you some of the things that we often add to summer barbecues or summer meals. Like, what about the fruit? Like watermelon. So we know the sugar fruits like bananas and maybe oranges are high in sugar that you'd want to avoid. But where does watermelon stand? And the melons, cantaloupe, honeydew, where do those stand in the carb ratio?
You know, most of my clients that are checking their blood sugars have tolerated that pretty well. I need to look up like what an actual, like a 3-ounce serving of watermelon. I don't know how many grams of sugar that is, but it's a lot of water. So people do seem to tolerate that, but just be mindful of your portion. You know, do you want a wedge of watermelon or 2? Go ahead and enjoy that. Just don't be eating all the watermelon, and maybe have your protein first, because if we eat the carb on it, the fruit carb on an empty stomach, that'll raise our blood sugar faster. But studies have shown that if you eat your protein first, it'll slow the absorption of that sugar. So you can enjoy just a little bit of melon. And when you do it seasonally, I mean, I feel like that's the way to a balanced lifestyle for sure. Or berries, you know, I know we've talked about berries before. And you can still, if you don't want to spend on fresh berries, the frozen berries, the organic berries are so reasonably priced. You know, whether you're at the grocery store or Costco, a 4-pound bag of strawberries for $7 or $8. And you can either thaw them in your fridge, or I'll throw them in the microwave for a little bit. And you can put a little dollop of like some spray whipped cream. The Land O'Lakes version of the heavy whipping cream spray is pretty reasonable ingredient wise, and lower sugar, lower carb. So that's just a nice way to end your meal if you would like.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Rather than like, you know, a super sugary fruit pizza or something like that.
Let's see. Deborah is asking, what was the brand of the beef sticks that were at Costco?
Oh, sure. They're called Green, so like the color Green Ridge Farms.
Green Ridge Farms. Okay.
Yep.
Great.
And they've been moving. Well, they move things all the time at Costco on me, but the latest place that I've seen them is they're kind of by the bacon area, you know, like the pre-cooked bacon or the bacon that you have to cook. They're in those refrigerator cases.
Okay. We have Joe watching. He says, hello, ladies. He's getting ready to record some videos, he said. So that's why he's not on right now.
Awesome.
We have quite a few people watching on Facebook as well. So hello to all of you. Let's see. Meg, welcome back, Meg. She says digestively, melon should always be eaten alone and at least 20 minutes before any other food. Meg is one of those women who is totally dedicated to researching food and stuff as well. So we're very thankful to have her.
That is what works well for her. That's perfect.
Yes, that's awesome. Okay, what else do we have here? You know what? Let's talk a little bit about, well, actually, those of you who are watching, maybe let us know. Is there a side dish that you like to bring to barbecues, or do you have go-to things that you like to eat in the summer, or, you know, give us your thoughts, give us your feedback, share your favorite food ideas, because we want to know, and we want to be able to share those with everyone else. Um, I was just thinking a little bit about uh for us, we've had like upper 90-degree days lately, and it's been very warm. I have a friend who always keeps a little cooler in her car. Every time she leaves the house, she brings a small cooler with water. One thing that I notice is if I'm dehydrated, I'm going to eat way more, because my body, for some reason, can't tell the difference between, oh, you're hungry or you are thirsty. So let's chat a little bit about that, and how can we be prepared, maybe situations where people are having a lot of drinks or they're providing drinks. Drinks can be tricky.
They can be, yep. So what a great idea that your friend has to keep that cooler in her car with her. Another option that we talked about last week is that keeping an electrolyte, some type of an electrolyte with you. I do love the Redmond, the real salt. It's called Relight. This is sweetened with stevia. And so I do like that company. But even if you don't have access to an electrolyte drink mix, if you like pickle juice, take a swig of pickle juice, or, grab your salt shaker and just go ahead and throw some salt on your tongue, because like Leslie said, our bodies do not know the difference sometimes between thirst and hunger. And during these hot temperature days, it's really important to bump up your water and electrolyte intake. So yeah, good point.
I also use that salt. If I start to get a migraine, I will often take salt and put as much in my mouth as I can tolerate.
Really?
Yeah, well, sometimes, it's just one of those, I don't know. The problem is that I do all of my natural remedies for migraines at the same time, so I don't actually know. I'm like, I can't risk it. If this turns into a full-blown migraine, I'm in trouble. So I do all of the things.
All the things, yep.
But they say that is, that can be a trigger for people. And so there's a lot of benefits to that salt.
Yeah, definitely.
Dehydration is a huge cause of other ailments. It's actually one of the top reasons people go to the ER. They think they're sick, but they're actually dehydrated, or the dehydration makes their sickness worse. Right. So I live in South Florida, and we often have visitors and from the north, and almost all of them react to the sun one way or the other, sunburn, sun rash, but they get dehydrated. So can you talk about, Dana, why it's so important to stay hydrated, especially during the summer when you're out in the sun?
Sure. Our bodies just, if our bodies are about 70% water, even if we're not sweating, if it is warmer than what we're used to, we are losing water through our skin continuously, especially in those warm temperatures, or if you're heading down closer to the equator and enjoying some warm weather with Cheryl. It's really important to maintain that fluid intake. And, sometimes they'll say up to half of your body weight in water, or up to 150 ounces a day. That's a lot of water. So you just have to be careful and listen to your body. You don't want to overhydrate. You have to find that happy medium with how much water is going to work for you. But a good indicator is looking at, when you go to the bathroom, you want your urine to be kind of like a straw color. It doesn't need to be clear. That could be overhydration. It's okay. Sometimes if I drink too much water at once, of course, your urine turns pretty clear. But watch for a straw colored urine. If you end up with really deep yellow or amber urine, it is time to bump up that water. Or pay attention to your lips, or, if your mouth is dry, there's another good sign that your body is asking for some water.
Very good. Okay, and let's talk about how alcohol may affect your body in the summer. Barbecues, get-togethers, seems to be that people like to have drinks. Sure. What are your thoughts about alcohol?
So, there's low carb drinks out there that can work, but alcohol is dehydrating for sure. So not only is alcohol dehydrating, but it's kind of the fourth macronutrient. You know, if we have protein, carbs, and fat are the three main macronutrients, alcohol is kind of in its own little category. And our body will always prioritize burning alcohol first. It'll burn alcohol, protein, carbs, and then fat. So when we're drinking alcohol, not only, like I said, are we becoming dehydrated because we're going to lose water, our blood sugar will be elevated with alcohol consumption. And just a little side note, we had a gathering at a pool last Thursday night for some birthday parties, and I had just, you know, a low carb vodka, and I'm currently wearing a continuous glucose monitor right now. And I watched what my blood sugar did with that alcohol, and I got a significant spike in my sugar, and I could feel it. It doesn't feel good. So I don't drink very often at all, but just to be aware of what the alcohol is doing, not only to your hydration status, but to your blood sugar, because of, and all the other foods that you might be having at the barbecue with the alcohol. Sometimes that can be a setup for, oh, I'm having a drink and it's great and everybody is just enjoying life, and oh, here comes another handful of chips, or, you know, another handful of trail mix that's M&Ms and peanuts and raisins or something like that. So yeah, just being aware of what happens when you consume alcohol.
This is good.
Speaking of trail mix and things that you could bring to a barbecue if you don't want to bring a salad, one of my favorite things to bring in a cooler on these hot days, I always have some Costco almonds, just some plain almonds. I will take plain coconut chips, and you can get these are Trader Joe's, but you can get them wherever. And then I will sprinkle in some sugar-free Lily's chocolate chips. And I just put it all together. You could add pumpkin seeds, sunflower seeds, but you get a little sweet and salty snack that is pretty blood sugar friendly that you could take to a barbecue this summer.
Awesome. I love that idea. I'm going to do that.
Yeah. And you know, if Lily's used to only have a dark chocolate, but now they came out with this milk chocolate. They have white chocolate, they have butterscotch. But these milk chocolate, people seem to not notice as much as with the darker version, was a little more bitter.
So Lily's is relatively new to the market. You want to share a little more about Lily's for those who may not be aware of it?
Yeah. Lily's, yep, they are relatively new. They do use erythritol and some stevia in their products. So just be aware that it can cause tummy upset for some people. Others tolerate it just fine, but it is a nice low carb, low sugar alternative for your baking needs or just a little snack. So they have several different flavors of chips. Like I said, milk chocolate, dark. They even have semi-sweet now. They have butterscotch, white chocolate. They even have a chocolate mint and a cinnamon chip. So all kinds of options. Even they have bars, like little like caramel bars or dark chocolate bars that you can just enjoy a little piece at a time. And they're pretty sweet, so it doesn't take much to satisfy a chocolate craving.
And I can find them at my Walmart and also our main grocery store. I've noticed at Walmart, they're often on the bottom shelf. So you may have to look for them, but they are now easily readily found and accessible, but a great option for low carb for sure.
Yeah, have you seen at your Walmart, it's called Let's Bake Believe?
For chocolate chips?
Yep. So it's kind of the Walmart version of Lily's, and it's the price is just a little bit better on them. I don't know that I like them as much, but I've used the white chocolate chips. I made like a white chocolate macadamia cookie, and the white wasn't too bad. So I believe they have white, dark, and a milk, and it's called Let's Bake Believe.
I'll have to look for that.
Yeah.
Me too. That's awesome. Add another tab to our computers here, Cheryl.
Yeah.
Okay. We always open up all these tabs with these ideas that we want to look at. Okay, in the chat, I did go ahead and post, actually, I didn't post it, just kidding, but I'm going to, a link to Dana's website. It's Dana Cushing Health. I said that right, Dana?
Yeah.
I think so. And so if you want to reach out to her, tell us a little bit about what you do, Dana. We ask you this a lot, but it's always good to review.
Sure. I mainly work with women who are looking to manage their weight and their blood sugars. I have a 10-week program that is very individualized, where I don't have a specific meal plan or macros for people. We just kind of go along and set up goals, with the end goal being reducing sugar as much as possible, and then eventually adding movement. So the first session of the 10-week program, we meet for 1 hour, and then I do 9 follow-up phone calls or video chats for about a half an hour. And yeah, it's just questions as you go along, and then the goals come along with that. And everything is very individualized. There's not one program that looks the same. Just because personalized nutrition it's so important to help you get to your goals. And how can you make it your lifestyle? Just because something might work for Leslie doesn't mean it's going to work for Cheryl. So we just have to navigate. I like to call it navigating nutrition together to find the plan that's going to feel the most sustainable for you.
That's awesome. And more, even with our customers here, a lot of them are aware of these webinars, of Dr. Saunders, of our diabetes solution kit. But like Dr. Saunders has said too, everyone is a little bit different. You need to work with someone. And Dana is a really good option for you guys because, she's in the same flow that we are. We want to take care of our bodies, get to the root of these health issues, and live life to the fullest, to enjoy life, to feel well enough to enjoy life. And that's very much what she wants for you guys as well. So if you are interested in that, contact her, Dana Cushing Health. Of course, you can reach out to us. Sign up for our webinars, guys. There was supposed to be a link set up on our website. It will be soon, but you can go to bartonwebinar.com. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, because when we upload her videos, you'll get a notification. We do focus a lot on type 2 with our other webinars, and so you'll get notifications for those. But even though we talk about type 2, maybe you're not diagnosed as a diabetic, a type 2 diabetic. Many people are pre-diabetic and don't know. But we also are talking about things just to improve your health. Sometimes we talk about sleep. Sometimes we're talking about inflammation, all of these topics. I think we're nearing 100 episodes. And so we've been doing this for a while, and we bring in the big guns to teach us. These are people who have researched for years. We have Dr. Saunders and Dana, and it's such good information, and it's free. So share with your friends. bartonwebinar.com. You can go to danacushinghealth.com. Lots of good stuff. So
I would just want to say, we have a ton of free information, but if you look at the Diabetes Solution Kit and feel overwhelmed, or if you're trying to follow it and you fall into some old habits or bad habits, or you break it, Dana might be the great resource for you to try to get over that hurdle of whatever that is, that 9 p.m. snacking, or that taste for sweet, or getting exercise. So if you're having any kind of roadblock, Dana might be the one that can actually lay it out for you step by step and actually help you get to your health goal, because we really do want you healthy and rid of diabetes.
Yes. And I think it also, Dana, you're coming from the medical field, correct?
Yes.
Okay. So she's not just like, she didn't decide one day, here, I'm going to Google some things and then try to teach you. She's coming from the medical field, but she also, certified in, I feel like you're certified in so many different things. Did you just get personal training certification or something as well? So it's, she's not messing around, guys. She's legit. Like, she's really good at what she does. So.
And thank you. And just coming back to the point, Leslie, if some of your audience is not diagnosed with diabetes or even pre-diabetes that they might not know about, 88% of Americans, a study came out in 2019, 88% of us are not metabolically healthy. So anybody could benefit. So tell your friends and family to jump on, and hopefully there will be at least 1 or 2 takeaways minimum that anybody could walk away with to improve your health.
Yes, so good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Um, this has been another really good webinar. You guys, thanks for joining. Thanks, participants. Thanks, all of you on YouTube and Facebook. So, so good. We'll be back next Tuesday, same time, same place. And thank you, both Cheryl and Dana, for being here again today. You guys
Awesome.
are awesome.
Thank
See you
you.
later.
All right, bye.
Bye-bye.